on this episode of In the Rack Podcast.
Choose your hard. Marriage is hard. Divorce is hard. Working for somebody else can be hard. Starting your own thing can be hard. Choose whatever your hard is going to be. Being overweight and laying on the couch and not being active is hard, or it could be hard eventually, or going to the gym is hard at 4:30 in the morning. The point is like, the choice is yours. The ball's in your court. Make the decision and go all in.
What you got?
Welcome to In the Rack Podcast, where we provide you with a practical framework for breaking PRs in all facets of health and wellness. We are just a couple of bros giving you the simple hows in a world of complex wants. No filters, no scripts, no rules, just straight talk.
Talk to him.
Now, let's get into the rack with your hosts, Dr. Chad and Dr. Nick.
All right, everyone, welcome to another episode of In the Rack Podcast. I'm your host, Chad, and with me today, I have a guest. His name is Andrew Millet. He's the owner of Move Strong Physical Therapy, which is actually inside of Cressey Sports Performance, which is in Hudson, Mass. And if you guys haven't heard of that place, it's well known, so check it out. It's in the Northeast, so for those of you that are listening that are not in the Northeast, that's where you'd find it. So I met Andrew back in PT Biz days. That was 4 or 5 years ago now. For those of you that don't know what PT Biz is, it's a mastermind. Danny Matei runs that. It's a great mastermind. Highly recommend it if that's something that you're thinking about doing. If you're a new PT that's thinking about opening up their own spot, I think it's a good place to start for sure. I've watched not only Andrew start there, but I've also watched him evolve over the years, not only just as a clinician, but as a business owner. And now he's like crushing his own health and wellness, which is pretty fun to watch, man. He's got like all of these trainers and everything now. He's just busting, and it's just fun to watch. And, he's built his practice inside of this facility. And I know some of you think that it's like kind of a far stretch for some, but, there is a nice combination of rehab and training, and we're going to talk a little bit about that today because that very much jives with our model here as well. I know that, being in his spot probably brings it to a different level, and I definitely want to pick your brain about that as well because that's different. I mean, not everybody opens up a PT clinic and a sports performance clinic like that. So that's interesting. So in this episode, I definitely want to dive into Andrew's journey. But I also want to talk about growing your practice in an environment like that, but also, the transformation that you've gone through in your own health and how that's impacted you. Not only you as a clinician, but you as a business owner, as a father, and so forth, because I know there's a lot of carryover there. I mean, I've done that myself, so it's great. So if you're like a PT, a coach, or, just somebody who actually cares about just getting better, I think this episode is going to be very, very intriguing for you. And I think there's going to be a lot of keys that you can, and take homes in this one as well. So Andrew, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, man? Like what got you started in physical therapy and all that jazz?
No, first off, thank you for having me. I appreciate the opportunity.
Absolutely.
So, I was a 3-sport athlete in high school. I'll say average or below average athlete. Football, track, and baseball. Unfortunately, never got hurt, but I saw a lot of people get hurt.
For sure.
Whether it was, my friends getting hurt or family members going through medical crises like strokes and whatnot. And I just wanted to be able to work with people and help them, if it's getting back to sport or just being, that person in their life to help them get back to a pain-free life. And went through high school. I kind of knew what I wanted to do when I was in high school. Some of the few people that do.
For sure.
And went to Springfield College for physical therapy.
You went to Springfield too?
I did.
I didn't know that. Oh,
yeah.
My PT Nick went to Springfield.
My colleague Cody, I think he was there a year or two before him.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
So small world.
That is a small world.
All roads lead back to Springfield.
Yeah, that's what they say.
So went there for 5.5 years. I was one of the last few to get a master's there.
Got you.
Because it switched over, I think, 2 years after I left.
I got you.
So yeah, did the physical therapy route. And then I eventually actually got hurt when I was in college before I was formally in my PT work. So don't judge me as a But I tore my ACL twice, unfortunately.
Jesus.
But I knew I was in the right field,
For sure.
after going through that, and it helps me empathize with people in front of me of hey, I've been through it. I get it. It sucks. But you're going to get through this with the right team. Mm-hmm. And so went through PT school, got out, did the typical in network, saw 1 million people in a day.
Mm-hmm.
And then eventually went from the most visits I ever had in a day was 23 in an 8-hour day.
Oh, yeah.
With a tech or an aide.
Yep.
And then went down to like every 30 minutes with a heavy Medicare population. And then eventually down to like 60-minute evaluations with a 30-minute follow-up. So the most I would see in a day was 12.
Okay.
And
these were in different places, or
yeah. So over a 9-year span, I worked for 3 different companies.
Got you.
Roughly 2.5, 3 years at each, and then the last one was like 4.5.
Got you.
Where I managed the office, and I realized like in that last setting, like I wanted the one-on-one.
Yeah.
Because like I wanted to spend time with people.
Absolutely.
And not even obviously from a clinical standpoint. Talk about sleep, hydration, nutrition, stress management. Like really like get into it, because like say somebody comes in with knee pain. Like 30 minutes isn't long enough to like do a good enough treatment, unpack, like, and I give credit to the people that can do that.
Yes.
But like really unpack everything that got them here.
Yep.
Because you hear
Absolutely.
more in an hour than most people will ever hear in a lifetime.
Absolutely.
So, and I remember it was an inflection point where like I was working with this athlete. She had an ACL reconstruction, and then Blue Cross or Tufts, whatever the hell it was like, oh yeah, you're done. We're not concerned about getting you back to soccer. And I was like, that's messed up.
Yeah.
Because like you and I both know health and wellness, like proactive health and wellness of staying fit, eating the right things, being active, that minimizes the chances of anything negative down the road.
Yep.
So I was like, there's such a disconnect with this 3-month and then eventually return to sport. So I was like, all right. And I was talking with a mentor of mine, old Italian guy. Never have shaken his hand. He's a hugger. Yeah. And love this guy so much. He came to my wedding, and he gifted me my first treatment table.
Oh, wow.
And I tried to pay him. He wouldn't take it.
This is a previous patient of yours?
No, former colleague.
Oh, former colleague.
Old sports chiropractor.
Nice,
mentor of mine.
nice.
Came to my wedding. Known him since like 2009.
Yep.
Met through another mutual colleague.
Oh, cool.
And he goes, Drew, you got to do your own fucking thing. And I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, you got to have your own business. And I'm like, what is that? I don't even know what that means. Can I Google that?
Yeah.
So, that was back in, let's see, 2016 roughly.
Okay.
Early 2017.
Yeah.
So, eventually start putting the wheels in motion. And even before that, like the first, those 9 years of my career, like I had, trained at Cressey Sports Performance.
Sure.
And knew Eric and knew Pete and Tony Gentilcore at the time, and all the coaches that have come before then. And, had no intentions of starting a business in there. Like I went there to train, and we talk shop, PT, strength conditioning, like, hey, how would you rehab this? How would you train this? Like while I'm rolling out. And got to, know, like, and trust those guys. And like, I learned a ton from them, like from a training standpoint and just my own training there of like implementing that into my rehab, like with athletes who are in pain and want to get out of pain and get back to sports. Sure. So like in those first 9 years, it was just like I'd bounced around different jobs and kept training there. And my own mom was like, why are you driving 35 minutes to a gym? And I'm like, you don't get it.
Yeah, no.
And it was like the culture, the environment, the community. So
absolutely.
Those first 9 years, looking back, like really laid the groundwork for that opportunity in 2017. And Eric Cressey himself was like, hey, why don't you do your own thing out of here? And I'm like, okay. So started 1 day a week in September of 2017. And then over 5 months, I went from 1 day a week to I was there 5 days a week part-time, so like 25 hours. And this whole time, I'm working home health.
Yeah, right.
I'm working home health, so like I made that conscious decision so I didn't have to make any irrational business decisions based off finances. So in January of 2018, we marry women smarter than us. Shout out to my wife.
It's true.
In January of 2018, she was like, all right, you have a decision to make. You either quit your business or you go down to part-time at home health.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I'm not quitting the business.
Yeah.
That's not an option.
Yeah.
So I went into my boss's office. It was a Tuesday. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to have to go down to part-time. I got some family stuff that I got to handle.
Yeah.
And she's like, okay. So I went down Monday, Wednesday, Friday, home health. Tuesday, Thursday, all day in my own business. And Saturdays, working the business. And then roughly 10 to 12 months after 10 months after starting, in May of 2018, I walked in my boss's office. I was like, yeah, I need to step down. I have my own business. And she was so like, you have your own business? What's that? So did one on-call of PRN for them. And I was like, nope, not doing this anymore. So that was the proof of concept I needed. And then in the first 2 years, I was just kind of hustling and grinding by myself and making it work. And then, since September 2019, had some, team members come and go, but have grown to 3 full-time physical therapists, Cody, Morgan, and Aaron. Have an amazing team. And then Michael, our client manager, who's remote. He's in the Philippines.
That's awesome.
He's been our longest employee, 5 years. We've never met, but he is on Zoom every week at our staff meetings. He checks in on Slack, good morning, good night. He's like the behind the scenes, the backbone. And I'm grateful to have a good team. Like, it just makes opportunities like today happen.
Absolutely.
That I can come up and hang out with you.
Absolutely.
So it's crazy to talk about that whole journey, like 8.5 years now, in like a few minutes.
Yep.
But it's been much more fun, and as I was telling someone this morning, I'm unemployable. I can't work for anybody.
I say the same thing. And I wouldn't want to either, quite honestly. Like, the grass is always greener. And I know this as a business owner. Like, some days you're like, I wish I just had a mindless job where I could just do nothing, or just like do something easy, work my 9 to 5 and be done. But once you get there, you're going to be like, why did I do that? You know what I mean? Yeah. So, because like the benefits of owning your own business definitely outweighs like what you have to deal with on the other side. And at the end of the day, like, all of the decisions that you make, like, you are the one that controls your outcome, right? Like, if somebody wants to fire you because, they, have some different structure or something like that, corporate PT is always changing things. Like, you can't control that, but you can control what your business does. So, like, if you want your business to be better, then you can control that. If you want your business to be average, you can control that. So, so I really think that you have all the cards, and I think that's the nicest thing about it, especially today where it's like everything's just so unpredictable. So, but it is a big risk. I think you have to be the right person to do that. Not everybody has the ability and the mindset to run a business or own a business or even start a business, because it's hard, and in the beginning I did the same thing you did, dude. I was working for this clinic out in Nashua, and they were great, but it's just not what I wanted to do. Like, I always had a vision of opening up my own spa. I just didn't know when, and it's never the right time. You always convince yourself, like, next year, and it never happens. You know what I mean? Until one day you're just like, I'm just going to do it, And I did something similar to you. I literally just took a traveling position, which happened to be in a local outpatient place in Exeter. Took that for 3 months. And while I was doing that, I was doing part-time here, trying to get the wheels turning, and it was a lot, like on my days off, like that's what I was doing. On the weekends, that's what I was doing. I was treating patients. And, they offered me a full-time position after I was done. I was like, yeah, sorry, I kind of opened up my own spot. They're like, what? Same thing as you. And I was like, sorry. I was like, hey, if that doesn't work out, I'll call you. and thankfully, I haven't had to call them yet, so I hope I don't ever have to. Yeah. But yeah, no, that's the story, and I think that's what a lot of people have to do. I mean, a lot of burn the ships is a real thing, and not everybody has the ability to do that, and everybody has their own definition of what that means. So, but I
call it the barbecue method, low and slow.
Yeah, barbecue sounds better.
That's the one term I've created that's my own.
I actually like that, and that's I think that holds true. Like, I think a lot of people that are kind of in that space right now that are having a hard time being like, do I just go? Do I just not? Like, I think you're in a good position, and I think that eventually you just have to take the leap, right? If you're confident in your ability and you trust, and you trust what you built, then you shouldn't be like upset about it, and I always tell people, I was like, if this fails, I'm still a physical therapist. Right. I'm okay. You know what I mean? Like, I can still do something else. But like you said, I am pretty much unemployable. And it's not many people are going to want to hire me. No. Which is fine. I always tell people, I'm like, man, when I'm done with this, I just want to get like a teaching gig and just like, be easy, like get all the bennies. Like, man, teachers have it so good. Like once your kids are in school, you're like, I want to be a teacher, have summers off. But right now that's not in the cards.
But knowing you and I, like we'd be like sitting on a beach and be like, we'd be thinking about something else.
No,
like,
I couldn't do it.
There's no way to shut it off.
I can't, dude. Like, vacations for me are 3 days, and any more than 3 days, 4 days, and I'm just like, all right, I've had enough of this. I want to go back. Like, and it's not because I feel like unproductive, even though I kind of do. It's more or less along the lines of I just kind of love what I do so much that I really, for me, I'm always on vacation. You know what I mean? Even if I'm treating patients in the clinic, I'm still on vacation. Yeah. Because it's not work for me. You know what I mean? And I think if you truly built a business like that, like it can sustain itself, and you don't ever have to feel burnt out, even though it does weigh heavily on you some days.
And to the point of like the grass is always greener. Yeah, there's shit we have to do. Like you got to write notes, you got to do like all the stuff that every job has that. Yep. But it's like I go to wear joggers and a t-shirt, listen to good music all day.
That's right.
Work with great people, team members, but also clients and athletes, and it's like it's a fun environment, and it's like it doesn't feel like work. Like
that's right.
And I'm always like, whether it's clinical in the office or like, hey, what can we do to make this better? Or what's this cool idea?
Yeah.
Like all these different things of progressing and moving forward. It goes back to like training.
That's
like
right.
you're always trying to get better. You don't just stick with 70s
right.
forever. Like you go to 75. It's like, okay, how can we move the business forward and improve? And especially when you have great people that you work with, like that share the same mission and vision of like,
That's it.
hey, let's get better. It's
That's
like,
right.
It's exciting because it's like a force multiplier.
It is. And finding those people and it's not easy sometimes, right? But that's the beauty of it. Like you've created your own culture. So, you can enjoy going to work every day. Like sometimes when you have a job and like you can't pick your employees, but when you're an owner, you can. So, and that's the beauty of that, no doubt. I 1,000% agree with you. So, when you started Move Strong, what was like the original vision for that, and like what is like reality now versus what the vision was?
So, initially, I was like, I'll be a solopreneur. I'll
Yeah.
do my own thing. I'll see as many or as few people as I want per day. I don't have to worry about anything else but me.
That's right.
And I was like, all right, let's do it. And then and there's nothing against people that do that.
Of course.
Everyone's on their own journey and path.
That's right.
So then I thought, I'm like, I got into this to help people. And then, unfortunately, my father passed at a very young age and didn't get to live his full life feeling his very best. So I was like, that's great that I'm seeing this many people per day and per week. But if I want to truly help more people, I can't do it all by myself because I'm limited by the hours of the day. And I'm not Elon. I can make a 25th hour maybe. But like,
really.
I'm like, all right, then I need to like bring on great people.
Yeah.
And then indirectly can help more people through the company as a vehicle. And we've all had our struggles and like have had people come and go, but I've built a great team now that like, my team is, helping more people, and I indirectly, I brought them on the team. So like being able to fulfill our mission and vision. So it's definitely changed over the years, and like the vision continues to evolve, but like our mission of just helping as many youth athletes and active adults get out of pain, move and feel better. And then I know this is generic back to doing what they love, but that could be, training like a savage or running a 5K. And if you have higher level goals outside of the day-to-day stuff, you're our people. And we love working with motivated people.
Absolutely. 1,000%. So we know it's not easy to start your own business, and obviously you've grown it and it's done very, very well. And now you've got multiple employees, which is awesome. But for those that are kind of in the thick of it right now, like grinding, are there any struggles that you went through early on that, people don't get to see? Because like you're a business owner, like not everybody gets to see. Everything looks great on Instagram. Right. Like we always show the highlight reels, you know what I'm saying? But like what are the struggles, even whether it's then or even now, that is tough for you to, to deal with?
I mean, early on, like that inflection point, that 5-month mark, my wife came to me and was like, you need to make a decision. And I remember there's a picture of us on a date night, and life looked great. But like, life was very challenging at that moment because like my son, I'm terrible at math. I counted my fingers, so I think he was 6 or 7.
Yeah.
But like, I was missing a lot of time at home, and like, she was the one taking all the responsibility of like cooking dinner every night, putting him to bed twice a night, and I miss out on those years. And I go back and forth on like, is that part of the process? And yes and no, but like, that was a challenge. And then like, I got kicked in the fucking teeth. I lost 2 employees in 8 months. And I had to pay a very expensive consulting fee to find out, hey, it's you. You're the problem. And I read a very good book. What was it? I think it was, I'll think of it in a second, but it's by Kim Scott. She's a very, very like big person in the business world. And it was just like, I was falling on me. So like, had some attrition over the years, and then had to, have some uncomfortable conversations with people, and had another employee leave when I had a team of 3. But I'm very fortunate that those are growing moments, and we fail forward and learn from those lessons. And the 2 team members I had at that point where I had to let someone go are still with me, fortunately. And they're with me 4 years and 3.5 years respectively. And I think in business, like these relationships develop over time. Like you can't have it's hard to have a hard conversation day one, but like when people know you care and like you want the best for them, it's not just like, oh, give me all the money and like I pay you nothing. It's like if the company does well, you do well. And if you do well, the company does well. And it's like, let's grow this together, and creating this shared mission and vision when people, they feel like they're on the same bus or the same boat of like, we're rowing in the same direction. And we've built something special because like, I'm grateful that my team can come to me and talk to me and be like, hey, listen, I need this. And having these honest conversations, it takes time to do that. And I think that's a crucial tenet in business of like, the uncomfortable conversations are uncomfortable, but it's better to have it now.
That's right.
Because it'll be uncomfortable. Or if you have it 10 months down the road, it's going to be really fucking uncomfortable.
That's right.
So it's like, just pull the Band-Aid and do it now. And I think and this is something I learned, like as long as people know you are coming from a caring place, it's still uncomfortable, but it's like they know you have good intentions.
Correct.
And there's, even now being 8.5 years in business, like you learn a lot and you fail forward, and there's always still challenges.
Oh, of course.
There's always something to work on and improve. Like we just had quarterly planning. So like, all right, our systems have been really dialed in because 3 years ago, our systems were shit.
Yes.
And we put a lot of focus on that. Now we have a big focus for this quarter. So it's like, and it's cool when you sit down with your team and reflect of like, hey, the key issues that we had a year ago, we have fewer of those.
Yes.
Or like they're better issues to have. So it's like, you never reach this like, oh, I've made it. Like there's always something. Like with training, like you can always get stronger. You can always go heavier. Like we always have weak spots we can improve upon. So it's like, that's having a good team can show you your blind spots. And it's like, I'm forgetting the concept, but it's like the infinite game. Like you're just constantly working towards and I have to remind myself that this great book called Gap in the Gain. It's called by Ben Hardy and there's another author, but they talked about, so many entrepreneurs and business owners, like we get so caught up on like, we're here and we want to be here. And we fall into this gap of like where we are and where we want to be. Instead, look at how much you've gained. Like look back 8.5 years, look back 5 years, look back 1 year, like how much further you've come. And it's helped me. I've listened to that audiobook 3 times because I'm a slow learner. I listened to it back to back once, and it just helps me reframe of like, all right, we are making good progress. We're getting better. Like, because type A people like you and I, we're so focused on the goalposts, and then you get there and the goalpost moves further. So it's important to look back at the wins, and not always the wins too. Like the struggles, like you can, like if you improve and get better, and I've really reframed this. And I know gratitude is cliche to say, and I really struggled with like writing down what I'm grateful for. Like, I have a roof over my head, I have food on my plate. But I listened to one of Danny's podcast episodes, and I was telling him this last week. He was like, he was grateful to go through the experience. And it's like, was it a not positive experience? Yes. But I'm grateful I made it through and I learned the lessons and the experience that you gain from it. And like, I have a note on my iPhone, like when I'm walking back from the bus stop, dropping my daughter off, I'm like, you have a lot of good things going for you. And just catching things like, I'm grateful I walked my daughter to the bus stop this morning. I'm grateful I got to bring her to gymnastics last night. Or like, say a negative experience. I'm grateful we went through that. Nothing worse happened. And it's really helped me reframe like running a company and like having a team and also family with kids. Like these negative experiences, like you are stronger than you think you are.
I agree. Yeah, dude. And that's very true. Like I feel if you're going through a time where you're just like, it's always a challenge or it's always something, it's always going to be something. Always. Like you just have to be okay with that, right? And it's how you deal with those circumstances that make you better overall. Because like when I first started, and I still do it till today, like I'll get like wicked frustrated about certain things. I'll be like, why are you getting frustrated about that? Like you know that's not going to be like, you know how to come back from that. Like that's not a big deal. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, and you're just like, when's it ever going to end? It never ends. You know what I mean? And in fact, the challenge has probably become a little bit bigger, to be quite honest, and that's okay, right? But don't ever have this mentality like, there's going to be a point where I'm going to run this business and everything's just going to be perfect and I'm not going to have any problems, because there's always going to be problems, always, right?
Yep.
You just have to deal with them as they come, and then, like you said, learn from them. Like failures is like is a strong word, but like I think you just have to, like you said, reframe it as a lesson, not as a failure. because if you're not learning from it, it's always going to be a failure. It's always going to be a negative thing. Like, you have to turn those things positive, because it is very, very easy as a business owner to be, very negative about certain things. And it can bring that culture down in the clinic, which is not good overall, And
you said it perfectly. Like, you're the leader of this company. You're the leader of Proform. I'm the leader of Move Strong. And like, it's important to have business friends.
Yes.
Because you could call me, or I call you, or voice memo, or whoever, and it's like we're just venting, and it's cathartic, and it just allows, we get each other. We're like, hey, you'll be okay, and just listen.
That's it.
But like, we need those avenues, because as a business owner, like, I've gone through some challenging times, and one of my employees, like, I was talking to him about it, and like, he's like, yeah, that sucks. I'm like, but listen, who wants to read a fucking story that was like smooth sailing and boring?
I know.
Like, this will make a great story.
Yeah.
And I have to keep telling myself, like, oh, you got kicked in the nuts today? All right, well, it's going to happen. Do the next thing, and just keep moving forward.
That's right. Yeah, and you have to tell yourself, like, you're making the sacrifices for the long-term gain. Like you said, hey, I can bring my daughter to gymnastics, or I can pick my daughter up from the school bus. Like, would you be able to do that if you had a full-time job?
Nope.
No, you can't do it. Like, you have to request time off. Like, I don't need to request time off.
What
like,
is that?
I'm just yeah, exactly. First of all, you don't have time off. But it's the time that you decide to prioritize, for your kids or family or whatever. But in the beginning days, like, yeah, you do have to do that. You have to grind, so that later on in life you can enjoy that, right? And that's what I did. Like, I wanted to make sure I opened up this business so that my kids are the age they are now. Like, I can pick up my daughter from track, or I can bring my kids to, Girls on the Run or whatever, Like, it's little things like that make it all worth it. And you can't see that because you're still so busy.
Yep.
And it's just like but like you said, you have to reflect on the past and be like, no, I wouldn't be able to do this if I didn't set this in motion at this point in time.
Exactly.
So I think that's a great tip. I think a lot of people need to take that to probably replay that a few times.
And I fall victim to my own stuff.
We do
too.
it.
Like, I'm not some from an ivory tower saying this is how you do it. Life is great.
I know.
I have to constantly have these talks in my own head of like, hey, get back on track. You're gonna be fine.
That's right. And I always tell people too, like, every time you come into the building, it has to be like it's a great day. That's just what it is, And if it's not a great day, like, you can't show it, because if your employees see it, then it's a trickle-down effect.
Right.
And the culture and the energy, like, really does make a difference, and the patients can see it. And, it just ruins the vibe and the culture of the whole entire experience, because that's, at the end of the day, that's what we provide, right? We provide great customer experience. If we can't provide a great customer experience, nobody's going to want to come here. I don't care how good you are at PT. I don't care. It just doesn't work that way. All right, so you work inside of a performance facility, which is definitely different than most PT clinics, which is awesome. Like, that's great that you have that. And to your point, like, you don't know how these things are going to work, which that story is really cool, because, like, you don't know how things can change. Like, you started training at this place, and somebody was like, yeah, why don't you try this, or why don't you try that? Like, why don't you open a spot here? Like, cool. Like, you don't know that those things can happen. Right. So, like, sometimes things. And it's not like it just fell in your lap. Like, you did the work. Yep. Like, you were training there. Like, you were investing in Cressey. Cressey invested in you, and that's just how it works, right? A lot of people have a hard time seeing that. But do you think that being in an environment like that maybe changed the way you think or perform as a clinician now versus when you were working in the model you were working in previously, or the environment that you were working in previously?
I definitely think it's shaped me as a clinician. Because you don't learn about this stuff in school.
Oh, no.
And you can't read about it. You could read about it in a book, but you don't know how to apply it.
That's correct.
So I definitely, with my own training there, and then just from like the sidebar conversations and, collaborating on mutual clients and athletes, like, I'm forever grateful for the opportunity. Like, Eric Cressey and Pete Dupuis, like, offered me this opportunity, and like, I ran with it. And yeah, other PTs have come and gone in there, but like, we've been there the longest. And, gone through COVID and gone through all these other challenges together as mutual businesses. And I have the utmost respect for them as business owners, because like, we get each other. And it's, like, I remember talking to somebody at PT Biz, and they're like, oh yeah, how'd you just get that? And I'm like, 9 fucking years of like spending my own money training there.
That's
and,
what
like,
it is.
Not having any ulterior motives, and just
that's
talking shop while I'm rolling out my quad.
Which also is a great point, because not many people do that. Like, they think that all of a sudden people are just going to be like, yeah, I'm just going to send patients your way. That's not how it works.
No.
Like, you have to invest in them before they invest in you, and that's exactly what you did. Like, not knowing that would lead to this. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it was just like my own, like, I was hungry to learn from like them, and they hopefully learned something from me. But like, just those conversations throughout and becoming part of that community and getting like different opportunities, there. And it's it's been a great experience so far, and just like it definitely has shaped me to the clinician I am. And I can't say, you know, would I be different at a different place? Maybe not. But like just based off my own experience, like it has shaped me in the best way possible.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, I think that's great. I want to talk a little bit about PT Biz, only because that is how we met, and it's obviously, I mean, it's not only changed the way that you operate, but it's also changed how we, you know, transitioned. We were going through a whole transition during that time.
Yeah.
And I remember I was like, do I do this? Do I not do this? Yeah, it's a lot of money. And, you know, everybody's always got the financial objective. I understand that, right? Like and until you actually go through it and until you start spending some money to see the return, you're not going to actually understand how it works and see the value, you know? And I will say, I remember the one conversation I had with Danny when he was trying to convince me to come, and he was like, Chad, he was like, man, he's like, I'm looking at your bio right now. He's like, you've done a lot of fucking coursework, huh? I'm like, yeah, I've spent a lot of money on my education. He goes, how much money you spent on business? I'm like, fucking nothing, Danny. That's why I think that's why I'm talking to you. I'm not really sure. And he goes, exactly. And I said, that right there was the sell for me. And I'm like, damn, he's right. Like, I spent thousands of dollars on my education and being as the most skilled clinician I could be, right? Because that's what I wanted. I wanted to be the best, right? And you spend so much time doing that, but at the end of the day, if you can't sell your service, it means jack shit. Yeah. You know what I mean? So that to me was the big convincing sell pitch for me to go to PT Biz. And I was there for a couple years, and I got so much out of it. But that's where I met you, and did you have the same, like, what made you want to kind of go into, like, you probably didn't know Danny at that point in time, like, what made you kind of move toward that, where you're like, hey, I think I need some help with this?
No, absolutely. I knew Eve, Gigi first. I think we shared a mutual client. I remember the client's name now. But, yeah, we shared a mutual client, and then I heard about PT Biz through Eve, and I think he had said, you should hop on a call with Danny. And I remember it was the time of my call, I think it was like a Tuesday. Yeah, like 10 or 10:30, and I was in the middle of fucking rack pulls. Yeah. And I'm like, I got to go hop on this call. And then one of the CSP coaches was busting my balls, like, of course you would leave 3:15 on there freaking while you, for 30 minutes and not clean up after your shit. I'm like, shut up. So I remember I was outside of the CSP Mass facility having this conversation with him, and, like, you know, one of the tenets that people, you know, we always talk about is, like, when you got to invest in yourself, like you said, with clinical education, but you also have to invest in business, because we don't learn about this stuff in school. Right. And you know, one thing that always rings true is, like, when you pay attention. Mm-hmm. And when you have skin in the game, you're more on the line. And, like, I was a year into business, didn't know the difference between my elbow and my asshole coming from business.
Yeah, we none of us do.
And, yeah, I'm still part of the group. Like, I still find it super valuable. Yep. And, like, it's the network and the people, like, you have met. And, like, I just went to a live event. And, like, we all have challenges in business. But, like, when you surround yourself with other people who just get it, and they're like, yes, there's winter seasons and there's summer seasons.
That's right.
And, like, you know, it's a very abundance-minded community, in that, like, if I have something that's working, I'm going to share it with everybody, because you know what? It's going to come full circle. Not that I expect it, but, like, if I need something, it's going to come back full circle and, like, I need help with this. And people are just giving, like, hey, this works really well. Maybe try this. Or it worked for me. Maybe try this. Mm-hmm. And, like, from a solopreneur to now, like, from sales, marketing, systems, retention, you know, growing and scaling and leadership and, like, leading a team, like, they continue to evolve the group and, like, you know, help younger businesses, but also older businesses, like, continue to grow and scale. And I coached for them for 4 years, an amazing experience, like, just helping give back to younger clinicians and business owners. And these events still fire me up, and, like, I still walk away with a lot of good information.
Absolutely, dude. I used to love going to those events, and not only that, the information is unbelievable, don't get me wrong. And, you know, once you've been in the groups for a period of time, the information becomes, it's like, hey, you just got to do it. And some of it can be repetitive. I understand that. But not a lot of people take action in implementing whatever we talked about during the group calls. It's very, very common. But I found that the networking, like you said, was probably the number one thing for me. And after that, and after I was exposed to that, I started doing more events that weren't even related to physical therapy, which is, you know, where I met, like, my previous coach, which we're going to talk about soon. And then, you know, where I met tons of people that's actually, like, shaped my model even greater or different, to the point where I feel like the PT industry just wasn't cutting it for us. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, I couldn't talk about, you know, anything business related. I couldn't listen to any more talks on ACL rehab. I've done that already a million times. Like, all that stuff is so repetitive. It never fucking changes. And it was like, it didn't jive with us. Like, it wasn't performance based, you know? And I feel like that's where the fitness industry kind of did a little bit better for us, and the coaching industry did a little bit better for us in that regard, as opposed to, working on clinical skills for physical therapists. Like, everybody should have those skills, don't get me wrong. But then there's other skills that you don't know about that also helps to improve your business, which, I definitely got from PT Biz, and then all the other ones that I've done after that, which is, what I think has helped to even shape us even more. But in terms of like going through that whole thing with the mastermind, being a coach and all that, was there like a mindset shift that you had during that process where it was like, all right, it changed everything, about what you do now and, what you were doing previously to what you were doing now in terms of, anything that they talked about, at PT Biz, whether it was like mindset, money, value, that type stuff.
Oh man,
I know it's deep. It's deep. You don't have to go super deep with it, but
I would
overall.
I mean, one of the biggest things is like, the accountability is huge. Like the sounding board of people to talk to.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, like, you have to implement. Like,
That's right.
You can have all the information in the world, read all the books, read all this stuff, and it's like, if you don't do any of it, what's the point?
1,000%.
So it's like, creating a system for yourself of like, okay, here's our 10-year, 3-year goal, 1-year goal. What's our quarterly goal? What are we going to implement monthly, and what are we going to implement this week? And like, just staying focused on like moving forward. And because so many people get caught up in like the day-to-day grind and like fall off. And like, again, surrounded by a great team. Like, when they first started with me, I'm like, I'll do this, I'll get to this. And like, a week would go by, I'd staff me like, why didn't you do it? And I was like, I forgot. Well, you keep forgetting. Yeah. So finally, I figured out a system like that. Every day, I have a set of stuff to go through, and it's just. But like, you gotta implement, and like, you can have all the knowledge in the world, but if you don't put rubber to the road, like, what's the point? So it's been a lot of things, and it kind of changes over the years of like, in your evolution of business, of like what you need to do when you first start off to like what you do when you have multiple employees. And like, Jared Moon did a great leadership, presentation. It was like a 2-hour like hands-on like interactive thing, and just really helped you open up your eyes to your blind spots, because like, when you're so head down and just trying to move this thing forward, like, you kind of forget like, hey, I got to make sure I'm being direct with my feedback, having the hard conversations. And I still struggle with that, but like, knowing what you need to improve upon, because like that eventually people will be like, I've had enough of this, I'm leaving. And that could have been like, you could have fixed this 12 months ago. So, there's a lot of that goes into it, but I think just like implementing and like, being a good leader, especially if you have a team.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think, one events I was at, Kelly Surratt was there, and I had a great conversation with him, and he brought up like great points about like defining what your level of success is, like defining what success means to you, because a lot of us get wrapped up in numbers, and I understand that, right? And, a lot of times, in the beginning, don't get me wrong, like, revenue is it's a great objective number for success, but does it have to be the only marker for success? It doesn't have to be, you know what I mean? There are some years where revenue could remain the same, you know what I mean, or slightly better, but what did you do within that last year that might be setting you up for future years, right? Like, or that might say, like, maybe you're doing more things in the community, you're helping more people in the community, right? Like, what is your level of success? And for me, I was like, that's a really good point. I didn't think about that, because like, you get wrapped up in it and you forget it, and you really think that this is what it's got to be, and if I'm not performing here, I'm failing, you know what I mean? So I think that for me, that was a good indicator for being like, all right, maybe I should redefine what my goals for success are. Yes, we want the numbers to improve, but also what other things should I be looking at to make me feel better about this business growing and succeeding and helping as many people as I can. Right?
Kelly's awesome. Known him for years. Actually worked for the Ready State for a little bit. And funny story about him, when I met him in Charleston for the first time, like I gave him a big bear hug, and I like put my fingers together, and he flexes his pecs and breaks my fingers apart. So massive human.
Yeah, he is.
But him and his wife are just great people. What you said there about like these metrics of success, gross revenue, profit, like those things are important, because they like are indicators of like business growth or business quote success. But like, if you're and again, I have to work on this, but if you're not present with your significant other, you're not present for your kids, like
1,000%.
I try to like make sure I'm at every gymnastics, every dance competition, like all those things. And like, that's a great point of just like, what does success look like professionally, but also personally? Because like you could make $1 bazillion,
right?
But if your kids hate you and your wife
That's
wants
right.
nothing to do with you, like, is it worth it? So,
Absolutely.
And like I said, it's a work in progress for me because I got to get out of my own way sometimes. But like, that's a good point of just like making sure your professional and personal goals are in line.
Yes.
So that one's not overtaking the other.
That's right. Yeah, because, I mean, at the end of the day, are people going to remember how much money you made, or are they going to remember what type of person you were?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think that for me was a huge trigger, because that's what I would do. I'd always put the business first. And that trip right there was what set it in motion for me to be like, yeah, I probably should be changing these goals around a little bit, or I write down the personal goals, but I never meet them, because business goals always come first and personal goals are always second. Never the gym always comes first, but the family always came second, which was never the right order to have it in. But that's what I wanted, and that's what I did, and that was a big mistake that I made, and I regret that. But, you know, if you look back on it and you learn from it, then, you know, you can make those changes going forward.
It's one good thing PT Biz, one of many,
yeah.
that PT Biz does is like 3 personal goals, 3 business goals, like
Exactly.
every quarter. And it's like, you know, go on a date night every week, or, you know, end the day at this time, or like just these things like that make you a good person, but also a good business owner.
That's right.
Because you need to have both.
Yep. I know. I remember Danny one day, he was like, dude, just have like dinner with your family like twice a week. Like, that's it. Like, make that an easy goal. I'm like, yeah, I could probably do that. Like, I'm sitting there, I'm just like, twice a week, that's a lot. And I'm just like, now looking back on it, I have dinner with my kids like 4 or 5 nights a week. You know what I mean? So I'm like, wow, that really wasn't that hard. I just had to fucking do it. You know what I mean?
We do Pizza Friday and Hot Foot Sunday Friday at my house, and we watch
awesome.
a movie. And I can think of one Friday, and I think like barring we weren't traveling.
Yeah.
In the past year that I missed it.
Yep.
And it's nice to have that, because like it's just the kids expect it. They
kids
look
love
forward
it,
to
dude.
it. It's just like time with the family.
That's
and like,
right.
That time will, like, kids grow up and eventually leave, and
That's right.
You get to look back on all the good memories. So.
That's right. Yep. 1,000%. All right, cool. All right. Investing in your own health. I want to talk about that next. We've done a lot of working and investing in your business, but now investing in your own health, which I know you've done a huge amount of in the past couple years. You've been working with Allie Gilbert. She's amazing. She was my coach for 3 years. I actually met her at a conference. I remember the first day I met her, she had a faux hawk, so we had like an instant connection, which is what I always tell her.
Stars align.
I was like, dude, this chick is jacked. Like, she's driving a Jeep that's pink and jacked up. She's got a faux hawk. She's got all these muscles. I was like, I feel like I would really jive with her. And I was at a conference that had nothing to do with any of that. And she was talking about hormone optimization, like the whole testosterone epidemic with men. And I remember sitting there, I was with my PT Nick, and I was like, I wonder if she coaches. And I was like, I don't know if she does. She hasn't talked about that at all. She's really just talking about this whole epidemic that we're going through. And I was like, I'm going to ask her. And she did. And we hit it off. And I worked with her for 3 full years. And I feel like that right there not only set it in motion for me for my training, but the amount of people that I've met in her network alone have not only broadened my horizon with not only my business, but also my personal life too, because the amount of connections I made with her, like in what I implement in my business now, she really was, and I'll give a huge shout out to her. Like, she really did set me up for success in other ways. Like, and she may not know that, or maybe she does, but she would bring me as a guest to like certain conferences too. And I was like, dude, this is really, really cool. Like, I'm really glad I made that connection. You know what I mean? Because that's not where I saw her going when I first met her, you know? And what I will say is, like, yeah, I always trained, like, but I don't think I took it to that level until I started training with her. I took it way more seriously. But all that stuff bleeds into everything else that you do. It bleeds into your business. It bleeds into your family. It bleeds into everything. So talk a little bit about that with you, because I know that you've made that switch in the last few years too. And I wanted to see, like, if you had the same feeling in terms of not only how it kind of bleeds into everything else, but also how it's maybe changed your mindset.
I've been training for 25 years, so do the math. I'm
right.
41.
Yeah.
So, you know, I've always trained and like was consistent with the gym and all that stuff. And then I have to give you credit and Roger, our friend, mutual friend, like just seeing like the changes you guys are making in your own health.
Right.
And like, you know, you'd always hear the line of like, oh, you're just getting older. You're just getting older. And I'm like, I have the knowledge of like how to take care of myself, but why do I feel like this?
Right.
So finally, like I hopped on a call with Allie. It was, it's 2026. So this is like July or August of 2023.
Yep.
And just, wanted to hear more about, what Silverback did and what the coaching they provided. And, she's like, talked about training and nutrition, hormone optimization. I was like, you know what? I'm not an early adopter of anything.
Yeah, right.
I do not get the new iPhone. I'm sure my kid will have a nicer iPhone before I do.
Sure.
That's a whole other conversation.
Yeah,
but so I was like, all right, I've seen the positive benefit, and I talked to you a ton and Roger a ton of like the positive changes you guys had seen. So
Absolutely.
I'm like, you know what? Let's do the training and the nutrition. We'll worry about the blood panel, the hormone optimization stuff like in due time. I want to see if I can really turn this around.
Yeah.
And I was consistent with the training and the nutrition, but I was like, from a physical standpoint, I wanted more muscle mass. I couldn't drop body fat. And I'm like, I'm doing all the fucking work.
Yeah.
Like, why is this not changing? So finally, I remember exactly where I was. I think it was like August or September of 2023. I was cutting the grass. I was listening to a podcast that Allie was on, talking about hormone optimization and like the symptoms of low T and, the benefits of, making sure you're in an optimal range. And I literally let go of the mower. And it was it shut off. Don't worry, it didn't hit anybody. I was like, fuck it. Enough's enough. I need to pull the trigger on this. Yeah. I literally messaged Allie in the middle of my front lawn. I'm like, all right, set me up with, I need to get this taken care of.
Yeah.
So had the blood panel taken, met with Merrick Health, shout out. They do amazing work. And met with them and they're like, yeah, your testosterone's in the hole.
Yeah.
Like not so low where like my primary care could prescribe because it was in the reference range.
Yes, I know.
Again, we can talk more about that later, but
yeah.
So knew it was low, fasting fasting glucose A1C were not great. What else? Other things were not great. Cholesterol was out of whack.
Yep.
And I'm like, all right, so not only the blood panel results, but like I had brain fog. Like I was just like always like
totally
looking for the word, whatever. My knees ached every time I crouched down to do laundry. And yes, I do laundry. And then like obviously the body fat, muscle stuff, the joint aches we talked about. And I think this is the tipping point. My daughter was 3 at the time and I was getting 7-8 hours of sleep. So I knew I was tracking on my Whoop. I knew I was good. I came home from work and she's like, Daddy, come play with me on the floor. And I'm like, oh, I'm too tired. And then I'm finally like, what the fuck, dude? You slept 7-8 hours. How are you too tired? So I was like, all right, that was like that point in time. So I got it checked. Wasn't looking great. Got on TR. So Merrick gave me all the different options. And then I'm like, all right, typical clinical brain. I'm like, all right, let's do like an experiment of like, all right, let's go on berberine for my blood glucose and let's go on testosterone. And I started noticing a difference after like 2 weeks. I was like, something's different.
Yeah.
I can't put my finger on it, but I feel different. So then after about 6 weeks, and then I forget when we did the repeat panel, my numbers went from like 360 to 910.
Oh, dang. Yeah,
and I was nice. So I messaged Allie, I'm like, oh, all this test. And she's like, you're so funny, but you've trained really fucking hard and you've stuck to the nutrition plan. The testosterone replacement is just the icing on the cake.
That's right.
Because you could have sat on the couch for 3 to 6 months, and you would not have the results you do.
That's right.
And long story short, I had a DEXA scan a couple months ago, and I was down to 15% body fat.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to go on stage.
But
it reaffirmed, like, yes, I look good, I feel good, the blood panels look good, but then, oh shit, you've got your health dialed in. And, seasons of life, things go up and down, but this is the best I've felt in almost 3 years, like, of training with that team. And my wife trains with them. Because I remember when I started with them, like, I wanted to, feel it out. I'm very protective of my reputation. And, like, I didn't want to tell my wife to go do it and then she'd not have a good experience. But she kept, like, chomping the bit. She's like, when are you going to let me do it? I'm like, it's not that I'm not letting you. So she got on board. And with women's hormone optimization, it's a little more nuanced and detailed.
Absolutely.
So it took her a little bit longer, but she's in a good place. She had a major, shoulder surgery last year. Silverback helped her get back. She worked with my team. Her hormones were dialed in. She just competed her first high rocks competition out in Vegas and, like, crushed it. And she's in great shape and, like, she works super hard. And there's so many, like, branches that come off of this journey of, like, one, we all, like, even if we're not getting into this journey for external validation.
Yeah, of course.
It feels fucking great when someone's like, yo, you look fucking yoked.
Yes.
Or, like, look, you look vascular.
Yeah.
So, like, I went to a PT Biz event, hadn't seen people in 5 months, and they're like, oh, my God, what happened? And
yeah.
you can't tell me you do like hearing that.
Of course.
It gives you the validation you're doing the right stuff. So that obviously was good. But then like, you know, there was that. And then let's see, when your clients notice, they're like, they haven't seen you in a while. And they're like, wow, you've been working out hard.
Yep.
And I'm not pushy with my story. Like,
of course,
I'm just open book. People ask, I'm like, hey, this is my journey. You don't have to do it.
That's right.
If you have questions, I will be transparent with you and tell you what I've done, what I haven't done, what I liked, what I didn't like. And it bleeds into like just helping more people. Because like, I wish I didn't wait as long as I did. If I knew about this 37, 36, but you know, it's better than now than never. So there's that. Bleeds into like your team taking good care of themselves.
Absolutely.
And then the most important thing at the end of the day is the next generation.
Yes.
So I have a 13-year-old and a 6-year-old, and they'd see us weighing our food.
Yeah,
and
I know. Yeah.
Don't hate on the people who are going to be like, oh, don't fucking weigh your food. I ain't going to do that forever. Shout out to Jim. He said, there's an end game for that.
Jim,
But like, oh, they'd be like, why are you weighing your food? Out of curiosity. And I was like, oh, mommy and dad are just doing this to make sure we eat enough, so we have enough energy to do whatever.
Yeah.
And then what's even cooler is like we have a home gym, and my son would just come home and work out.
Yeah, that's
And
awesome.
I didn't tell him to. Or my daughter, who does gymnastics, will come down and bust out 3 pull-ups because she's a savage.
Yeah.
Shout out, she'll run a prison gang or a company. You heard it here first, or both. But it's nice, like that. It's caught, not taught. You instill these principles in your life. Like my wife and I don't miss training sessions.
Yep.
We just say, hey, you got to go train? Okay, I'll be home.
That's
vice
it.
versa.
That's what it is.
And like we make it happen because it's nice when you're both rowing in the same direction and like, hey, your abs look good, or like you look more jacked, or great job in your high rocks, or like this or that. And then your kids see the byproduct of it, of like the discipline, the focus, the attention to detail, and they catch on to that, and they just know that, hey, this is normal. Eating well is normal. Exercising is normal. Like, and you know what? There are going to be people that don't think that, and then that's their journey and their story. But it's ours, and this is how we live. And it's great to see that, you know, you can shout from the rooftops, like, you got to do this, you got to do this. But when they see the real you, like, and I'll come home, like, my daughter will be like, oh, did you go to the gym this morning? I'm like, yep.
Yeah.
And it's just like,
yep.
It's just really cool to see that.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that, dude. And we notice the same thing with our kids. And, you know, my story is very, very similar to yours. And I do feel that, I mean, I went in for other reasons. Like my dad had prostate cancer, and I wanted to make sure I was like being good with all that. Come to find out I had a thyroid issue. And I had no idea, and my PCP didn't know because he didn't run the tests. And that was where I kind of gave up on that system. And that's kind of the reason why I ended up going through Merrick. But that's a perfect example of somebody that I've met, or an organization that I've met through Allie.
Same.
And then now I partner with them, and I provide that for my patients, which is amazing. You know what I mean? And I'm like you. I'm an open book. Like, you want to have a conversation with me, I'll definitely be able to talk to you about it. But I'm not going to say, this is what I do. You know what I mean? Like, because I don't need to, like, explain it to everybody. But if you want to have a conversation with me about it, I'll be happy to talk with you about it. And it's amazing how many patients that become more open to talking about it once they know that you are okay talking about it and you're transparent. I've had one patient in particular, but I've had multiple that I've had this conversation with. I was treating him for about a solid 6 months. He doesn't even have any pain anymore. He just comes in preventative maintenance, which is awesome. I love those patients. And so we kind of got on that talk. He owns his own business. He was getting burnt out. He started noticing, like you said, brain fog, decreased energy. I'm like, I'm not an expert, but kind of sounds like you need to get like a panel. You need to have somebody in your court to kind of look and see if everything's okay on the inside, because it doesn't sound like it, And it took him about 3 months to be like, all right, fine, let's do it. So we did. I set him up, and I'll tell you what, like, it's been 2 years now, because now he's been with me for almost 3.5 years. And he still comes every week, once a week. And it's changed his life completely. It's changed his business. It's changed his, marriage. It's changed everything. And he actually, he's gone with me, not with me, but he's attended the last 2 Silverback events. Oh, cool. Because he loves it that much, and he's just so invested in it that it's like, to have a patient just be like so invested in it and be like, go to these events because, you had that impact on him, really means a lot, And I truly believe that how you show up as a physical therapist will help whether it's motivating your clients or patients, or whether it just is like more credibility to what you do. I don't think everybody has to be like fucking jacked and like looks like they're about to go on stage. But I feel like you should kind of like look the part a little bit. Like even if you're not jacked, like you should be strong or like something. Like if you claim to be, some CrossFitter, that teaches CrossFit classes, you should probably do CrossFit, like I do bodybuilding, so I should probably look like I bodybuild. You know what I mean? Like if you're in a performance clinic or a performance facility, you probably should look like you do some of that stuff.
You look like you lift weights.
At the end of the day, like that's just the reality of it. And I know some people get sour over it, and I get so much hate on that shit. But it's like at the end of the day, I don't care, because at the end of the day, like that's what people think about. You know what I mean? They think about, all right, well, can I take this guy or girl seriously? Like, and if you don't like the part, it's going to be kind of hard for them to take you seriously. I'm sorry to say it.
It's an uphill battle.
That's absolutely 1,000%. And for me, it's been a lot easier for me to have these conversations with people and for me to keep my clients and patients accountable, because they're like, I'm like not telling you to do anything that I'm not doing currently or haven't done before. So I really do feel like that's made a huge impact, and the kids too. Like, I mean, how it goes into the family stuff. Like my wife's huge into lifting now, and over the last year and a half, she's made a transformation like crazy on herself. Like she competes now too. So that's awesome. Like, it's, and going back to the whole family thing where I was like, man, I don't think I can get like 2 nights a week and just having dinner with my family. It's like now my wife and I are working out 3 days a week together. You know what I mean? And I wish we could do it more, but just schedule just doesn't make it happen, but that's okay. You know what I mean? But like, it's brought our marriage better, and closer, because we have that time. Like most people are like, let's just sit down and watch a movie. My wife and I are like, let's just go train. You know what I mean? So, and some people think that's weird. That's cool, but that's our thing. You know what I mean? Just like you guys love to train, and some days we can't do that, where it's like, hey, I got to be home at a certain time so that my wife can go train, and then vice versa. So we just make it work like that, But I do believe that investing in your own health is something that can really help to not only improve, your personal life, but also your business and everything else that goes on. Like you said, leadership with the team, like that's huge too. You know what I mean? What you do will tend to bleed into your employees.
Absolutely.
So like, we all have the same eating time here. It's like crazy. Like I need to literally get a second microwave because the microwave just gets jammed up. It's like, I got to wait.
It's a tax write-off.
Yeah, it's a tax write-off. I got to wait for Nick to heat up his food, or I got to wait for Hayden to heat up his food, or I can heat up my food, which is cool. Like I'm totally down with that. Like I'm happy to wait the minute 30 or whatever it takes to heat up your food, because that's just what we have.
You're not a psycho? You don't eat it cold?
No, I can't eat it cold. I can't do it. I can't. I've tried. I mean, I've done it many times, but I can't do it.
That's one thing I took away from home care. I didn't have a microwave in my car.
Yeah.
So, like, if I'm, like, in a rush, I'll just eat it cold. But, like, I will blow people's minds and be like, wait, you're heating up your food right now? I'm like, yeah, I do it at home. So
yeah. Like sometimes if I'm going out for a few hours, I'll literally heat up my food and then put it in my bag where it was like, it'll stay warm, but it's not like cold. I can't eat it cold. But, sometimes I have to do it on airplanes, which is whatever. But hey, if I got to suck it down, I'll suck it down. But it's not ideal. I'd rather heat it up. Unless it's tuna, I could probably eat that cold. That heated up is kind of weird. But other than that, like my chicken and rice or my beef and rice, that's better warm. But that's okay. But yeah, no, I totally agree. Everything you said, man, like especially with how it impacts, in your leadership in the team, I think it makes a huge difference. But in terms of like investing in your health now, like do you think that improving your health has improved or impacted your business overall, would you say?
I'd say yes. Because, like, if I don't invest in it now, I'm going to pay for it later.
Yeah.
You pay for it when you're sick or getting on these drugs to fight whatever diseases. And I'm not saying I'm preventing anything. Like, I could get hit by a bus walking out of here.
Of course.
But at least, like, hedge the deck or bets in my favor. But I'd say, like, I'm impacting, obviously, my kids, like we talked about, my team. Like, oh, he's training hard. He's getting his lifts in. Like, he's trying to run a company. Like, what are my excuses? So, like, everyone on my team trains hard. And it's, like, it helps me, like, physically, obviously, like, look the part, but mentally, emotionally, like I got my shit together emotionally, like I can make good business decisions because like I'm taking care of myself physically. Like it bleeds into everything, and Allie even says it too. Like when you take care of your physical self, it bleeds into all the other aspects of your life, and it's I have no regrets. Like it's just with that, like it's an amazing experience, and I don't see myself not doing that.
I love it. Yeah, I think more people should take notes on that for sure, because and I know it's tough when you get busy, but you got to prioritize it. Like, we shut the clinic down from 12 to 2 every day. And that's the time that we have. So you could sleep, you could train, you could eat. I don't give a shit. Take a nap.
I was up at 4:30 this
mean?
morning. I went to go train at 5. So it was like, do I want to be up that early? No.
But
I knew I was coming to hang out here today, and like I wasn't gonna have another time to do it. It's like if I get up there, I'll know I'll get it done then.
That's right.
But I'm like, I'll do it later. That's bullshit.
No, it won't happen.
It never happens.
It'll
later.
never happen.
It's like
it'll never happen.
Nope. So at least get it in, get it done, and then the rest of the day is onward.
That's it. Yeah, you make it work. Whatever you got to do, you make it work. All right, I want to finish out by kind of talking. You were a coach for PT Biz for a while, so we do have a lot of PTs that listen to this. So I do want to kind of hit some of that, take some of your advice and expertise from your years of coaching, and talk maybe about like maybe some things that maybe PTs might be struggling with, or maybe some things that could help some people like either make some decisions or changes or whatever. But going through that, what do you think separates people that actually grow their business versus the ones that just kind of stay stuck? You know what I mean? Because I know you deal with a lot of people, so.
Yeah. I think on the clinical side, you got to know your shit.
Yeah.
Like, there's a big push nowadays, like, start your own business. And I'm like, that's great. And I'm not saying you have to wait as long as I did. I waited 9 years, and that was my own journey. I do think you need to know some shit.
Of course.
Like, whatever your niche, golf, CrossFit, you name it, like, you need to know, one, how to speak the language of the people you work with, but two, like, you need to know how to help people. You be the best marketer or best salesman, like
that's right.
Or influence. I don't like to use sales. It sounds dirty.
Yep.
But like, if you can't help someone's knee or their shoulder feel better, like you got to have the skills.
1,000%.
And also not be a douchebag either. You got to be a good person and like relatable and empathetic. And
yes.
So that goes together.
Yeah.
But like, there eventually comes a time where. Not that you ever stop learning clinically, because I still learn 17 years out, but like they don't teach you, very rarely do they teach you about business in school. Mm-hmm. So like you could be the best clinician, but you have a terrible business. Mm-hmm. So like if like sales and marketing, so like if you don't know how to like say, like get someone to come in so you can use your skills to help them, you could be the best PT, but if you cannot convince them to come in the door and pay whatever your rate is, like how are you going to help more people? And then marketing, like how are you going to get in front of people, like different opportunities, different events, like it all goes back to like, if your mission is to help people, you do need to know how to do sales and marketing. Sure. Because like if you can't get in front of those people and you cannot convince them to come in, I don't care how good you are.
You don't have a business. Yeah.
And then systems and retention, like, what do you do when someone comes in the door? Like how is your process, the client experience? Like you have to have these things. Mm-hmm. Again, you're not going to keep people around. Like, say you get someone out of pain, they're out the door, but like their squat sucks and they're weak as shit. Like, if you don't know how to like have a system to, hey, we have a process here to get you back to this goal, that's a system. And then retaining people too. Like, our mission is just similar to yours. Of like, we want to help as many people get back to doing what they love. And it's like, just because they're out of pain and they're back to training, like we all know shit happens when we train. Like the little check engine lights start popping off, and it's like, hey. And in the most genuine way possible, like helping retain people so that you can be the advocate for them and keep them accountable in their own health and wellness. Like you and I both have coaches.
Yep.
Why can't we be coaches for people?
That's right.
So it's like helping them stay accountable, and that goes back to retention. And then on a bigger scale, leadership. And I know there's many other things we can talk about business-wise, but like if you have all those things in place, and they're always evolving, of course, but like leading a team is so important, because like you could be the best clinician, quote the best business owner, and the aforementioned things I just talked about. But like if you can't lead the team to like on the same mission and vision, like you're gonna hit an impasse where it's just like it's not gonna work. Yeah. So it's so important to like, and you're constantly evolving. I'm not saying I'm good at all those, but like
absolutely,
you got to get better.
Yeah, 1,000%. I mean, I agree, and I mean I've gone down that road many times, dude, where I feel like. Yeah, same like you said. Like Danny really honed me in on that, saying, yeah, I had all my shit together clinically. I just didn't have my shit together on a business side. But everything that you mentioned is probably something that everybody needs to spend more time on, whether it's systems, whether it's leadership. You might be really strong in some of those, but you also might be really weak in others. And you don't know what those are sometimes until somebody calls you out on that shit, because nobody else is going to call you out on it. Your employees certainly aren't going to do it. Right. You know what I mean? So in terms of all of the PTs that you work with, I mean, a lot of the PTs that you work with now or the work with in the past, they own their own clinics, right? What do you think the biggest mistake they make as PTs or PT business owners are? Like, what are you seeing most of these people coming in having the biggest mistakes with?
Yeah. I do go back to the leadership side.
Yeah.
Maybe
That's
I'm
okay.
calling out my own issues.
That's okay. Yeah.
It's like the hair club for men. I'm the CEO and I'm also a client.
Yeah.
For the record, I still have my hair.
Yeah.
But I think with coaching, one thing I noticed is like the group is great for helping people scale quickly and learn all these things. And that's the great thing about mentorship is like a mentor can time collapse 40 years of experience into a 30-minute conversation. And they also help you see around corners. Watch out for that pothole. Watch out for that, this or that. But I think one thing I notice is like there's something to be said about the struggle and the grind and like the lessons you learn along the way. Because I remember something very distinctly. Like I had a mentee reach out of like they didn't sell a package. And I'm like, yeah, that sucks. I get it. It's not my first rodeo. I've been through it. But they were having such a hard time getting over that. Like I didn't like, and I was like thinking I voiced this a little more eloquently when I responded. I was like, listen, that is a small blip on the radar. And the thing is, when you quote fast track success and you ramp up really quickly, you avoid a lot of those potholes along the way and getting kicked in the teeth and the nuts versus like, so when you have something happen, you haven't built the entrepreneurial callus yet to be able to like handle that stress.
Absolutely.
And I think that it's hard. Like the groups are great, but it's hard to like replicate that unless it's in real time. Like you just have to have it happen and then you move on. So that was like definitely something of like, a lot of business owners struggle with, I think, where it's like they see all the success and it's like, but there's struggles too. And like being aware of that and like it is normal.
Yep. I will say when I was in that group, it was getting to the point where everybody was doing well. Everybody was growing. But I felt like the conversations that had and Eve was our mentor in that group. And I swear to God, like every week it was basically just talking about nothing to have anything to do with the business. It all had to do with managing work-life balance. You know what I mean? And that was always my hardest thing. You know what I mean? Because once you get to that level and once your business continues to grow, there's always something else, right? And you get stuck in it. You're just like, I mean, when we first get into this, we're just like, I just want to replace my income. That's all I want to do. Like you said, I want to be a solopreneur, make $100K a year, whatever. You know what I mean? Like, then you reach that and you're like, all right, cool. Now I want to make this. Now I want to make this. Like it always becomes something else. Like, and you're like, oh, well, once I reach this, I'm going to spend more time with my kids or I'm going to spend more time with my family. And then you get there and it doesn't happen. Right. It's like, well, what happened to that goal? You know what I mean? You forget, right? And I think you brought up a great point where it's like, you have to kind of look at the past and say, these are the things that I've done. These are the great things that I've done. And we get just so stuck in that trap of just getting better and better and better that we leave this personal shit on the side and it fucks us all as business owners, like in a bad way, because and it's not, I still have a trouble with managing work-life balance. Everybody does, right? But there needs to be a better balance, and I think that was the one thing that I got out of that the most, like just being able to talk to those people, being like, all right, well, this is what I do, this is what I do,
you just experience
and some worked, some didn't work. And I was like, but you take notes on that because you don't know sometimes. And like you said, like a lot of these people, they think they just do it alone. But when you can be part of a group like that, or even just have a network of friends, like it makes it so much easier.
It's not, and it's not like they're financially invested in your business.
That's right.
It's just like they're in your corner, though.
That's right.
Entrepreneurship is such a lonely fucking place.
Fucking lonely.
Like, if you don't know anyone else, like, and you can't talk to about your issues and like what's going on, like you can only bring so much to your wife and kids.
That's right.
And that's a slippery slope. So it's like if you can just shoot a text or hop on a call and again have that empathy. I get it, man. I went through this. I tried this. It helped. Maybe like just having that. And Jared Moon brought up a great point, like a couple of great points he called it work-life integration, and I was like, all right, that's a lot better than balance. Because there's no balance is like this mystical unicorn out there. And he had mentioned something last week at the live event where he talked about like his grandfather had said, if you can't get your work done in 8 to 9 hours, that's a you problem. So it's like, and I struggle with this. Like I'm trying to set hard boundaries of like if I think of something, I'll just write it on my phone and put my phone back down versus like being on my laptop and banging away. And I think it's important for every business owner because we all get baggage in our life. And like my wife's in the mental health field, so but like we went to therapy, and like it just, you know, we unpack a lot of the stuff that we've learned over the years, and it just helps explain how we think. And like, you know, just because like I might be on my phone doesn't mean like I'm avoiding my family. It's like I'm you know, it could be for something else. So it's just important to understand those things, and it helps give you compassion and grace for the other person.
Just make sure to be present more. It's hard, but you got to do it. It's hard. You got to make the time. Okay, in terms of like working with some of these PTs, what's like something that you believe that maybe early on, like maybe you think a little bit differently now versus then? Like if you had, like, is there anything that like you would have changed, you know what I mean? Say, or like if you had to start over tomorrow, you know what I mean? And like, would you do anything differently, you know, versus what you did in the past, besides maybe say starting a mentorship earlier, you know what I mean? Because we all wish we did that, right? But like, is there anything else that you think that you would have changed, or you would have, if you had to start over tomorrow, like would you have done something differently?
I'm just thinking of all the different
there's a lot of things. I know.
It's something I'm always working on is always have the hard conversation. And the story we make up in our head is far worse than reality.
For sure.
And people will appreciate you for like just being direct and like knowing that you care and like you're just trying to get the best for that person. There's that. And I think like, you know, systems, obviously sales, marketing, that stuff's important. But yeah, like there was a period in like 2019 where I did not take care of myself physically. And back to like what we said before of like, you got to take care of yourself, because if you don't take care of yourself, it's going to be hard to take care of your family and your people around you, but also your business. And like, it's, yes, I forget what it's like 3% of your hours a week, like for 3 hours of workout, 3 days, you know, 1 hour a day, 3 days a week. It's like, if you don't do that, like everything else will fall apart around you. So for me, like being more consistent with the training side of things, and like, it's a release for me, because it's like, you know, you banging out a couple more reps and getting that burn. Like I think in my mind, I'm like, all right, that thing in the business is hard, but this is harder, and I'm going to get through this. Or like if my kids are stressing me out, like I'm going to get this next rep, and that's harder than I'm going to get through this. So it's, I think definitely, you know, the leadership side of things, but also like, you know, taking care of yourself.
Yeah, no, I think that's huge, dude. I think that's a huge take home. I think more people should listen to that. All right, last one here. If somebody is listening to this and they're like, yeah, I want to start my own thing, right? They're like on the fence about it. They've been probably juggling it in their head for like the last couple of years. What is the first step you think they should take? I mean, yeah, we know they should be good clinicians, but in terms of like, maybe let's just say they're already there, right? Like they're already a pretty good clinician and they want to start their own practice. Like what would be a good first step before taking that jump?
You need to have a conversation in your own head.
Yeah.
Maybe with a trusted mentor. Why are you doing this?
Yeah.
Is it because you just don't like working for somebody? You just think the grass is greener? All these things. Because you know what? You're going to do your own thing or work for somebody else, and you're like going to always be looking for the next best opportunity. And like entrepreneurship and owning your own business is great. There's a lot of pluses, but there's also some downsides, like anything. And I think you have to go into it for all the right reasons, and just having a hard conversation with yourself of like, why are you getting into this? Is it because you're running away from something like an old job, or like you don't want to work for somebody? Well, like, and that's where it goes back. Like when times are tough and like you're struggling, whether you're working for somebody or you're in your own business, like having the true mission and vision of what you're trying to accomplish. Because like I heard it somewhere, there's no such thing as burnout when you're working towards a mission and a vision. It's burnout when you don't believe in it. And to your question, is like you just have to have an honest conversation with yourself, and like, because it's going to be hard. It's not going to be easy all the time, and anyone who says it is a liar. So I think just having a conversation with yourself of like, why are you getting into this in the first place?
Yeah, I agree, man. I think what I see a lot too is a lot of these. I mean, social media is a blessing and a curse. The only problem with social media is it makes it look like everybody's just like absolutely fucking killing it.
Right.
And we know that that's not always the case. You know, somebody could look like they're doing really, really well, but we know that sometimes is not the case. It's not they're not doing that well, but they make it look like that. But you have people that are just starting out that are trying to compare themselves with either people that are putting on a false front, or people that are just starting out and then trying to compare themselves to somebody like you that's been in business for 8 years, or us that like just hit 10 years. So it's like
Congrats.
you can't, yeah, thank you, man. So you can't do that. You know what I mean? Like you can't say, oh, well, I want to have exactly what Andrew has. I want to do exactly what Andrew's doing. But I just started my business 3 months ago. You know what I mean? So I feel like they get themselves mentally fucked up like that because they have all these resources out here. They're seeing people doing all this stuff, but they're not doing it, right? It's like, what am I doing wrong if I'm not doing what Andrew's doing or what Chad's doing? And like, I feel like that's holding people back too, and that might be like screwing people with their growth, or they might be self-sabotaging themselves, if that's a good word. But I also find that if you are in a good place, and let's say you do have a spouse or a support system, I feel like that system has to be in your court. Like
Absolutely.
It has to be, you both agreed on it. Mm-hmm. Like I always tell people, like if you have a spouse and you want to do it and she doesn't want you to do it, it's not going to fucking work.
Right.
You guys both have to be on the same page. And if you're not on the same page, then I would say either find another spouse or don't start a business, because there's always going to be that limiting factor for you, and that's going to be just a boundary and a roadblock for you to ever succeed.
Looking, I could have done a better job communicating that early on, and I'm fortunately doing better with it now. But to your point about like, is this right for you? Like Danny has always said, comparison's a thief of joy.
Yes.
And it's like, and another concept, like what race are you running? Are you trying to be a solopreneur and just work 2 days a week and be there for your kids? Are you trying to grow this thing to sell it? Or be a cash flowing entity? So it's like, it's so hard to like, you don't want to compare yourself against somebody else. It might be good to motivate you, because if that's where they are is where you want to be. Okay,
that's right.
Great. But at the end of the day, like they're further along, they have more skin and time in the game. Like, and you just need to like one day at a time, keep working and just make sure you're striving for the right thing.
Yeah.
Because like you could say, oh yeah, I want to be there, but it's not all that's chalked up to be. And you get there and you're like, what the fuck did I just waste all this time for?
Yep. Absolutely. Oh man, great conversation. I don't want to take up any more of your time. I know you got places to be, but where can people find you? Whether it's either on your Instagram or your website or anything like that.
Yeah, website's www.movestrongphysicaltherapy.com. Never made it shorter. Yeah. Probably should have. And then our Instagram's just Move Strong Physical Therapy. We're on all the other platforms, YouTube, Facebook, you name it. But yeah, definitely give us a follow. Like we're pretty active in our DMs, so we're pretty open about what we'd like to do and who we help. So
that's awesome. Yeah, Andrew's a great piece of knowledge, and I would definitely look at all that he's doing, because he's doing some great things. If you had to leave PTs or business owners with one message, what would it be to close it out? I'm banging you on these. I'm sorry.
It's all good. I'm caffeinated, so we're
you
we're
are.
Good.
Yeah.
I mean, choose your hard.
Yeah.
Whether it's marriage, like marriage is hard.
Yeah.
Divorce is hard. Working for somebody else can be hard. Starting your own thing can be hard. Choose whatever your hard is going to be. Being overweight and laying on the couch and not being active is hard, or it could be hard eventually.
That's right.
Or going to the gym is hard at 4:30 in the morning. Actually, it was 5. But the point is like the choice is yours. The ball's in your court. Make the decision and go all in.
I love it. Cool. Awesome, Andrew. I appreciate you coming
buddy.
in on the podcast. We're gonna have we were gonna have a training session, but maybe next time.
Yes.
But no, I appreciate you coming, man, for sure. Awesome.
Cool.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Man.
Thank you for joining us in the rack this week. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on any future episodes. You can also find us online at proformptma.com or on social media at proformptma. And remember, if you train inside the rack, you better be thinking outside the rack.